Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of the Free American Hour. I am your host. I am Clay Douglas. And my guest today is an old friend, goes back a lot of years, Paul Pantone, the inventor of Geet. Paul and I first met in Placerville, California, and used my Bronco to haul around his little Briggs and Stratton motor. That was the beginnings for us. Boy, have we been through a world of shit since then, Paul.
Amen.
I don't know. It seemed like there's a strange thing happening here. I bring you on my show, and then they throw you in jail or call you crazy or tag you. The last time it was just a little over a month ago, I believe, I had you on my show, and
Yeah, it's been a while. Yep.
and then we get Southern Poverty Law attacking you again.
Well, this one's hilarious. If you really read the whole article, then especially if you know me already, I don't even have a BB gun or a swing gun, but they're trying to convince the cops and the public that I'm the next Winco. And I've got a machine gun tower in my house, and I've got underground facilities and bunkers. And that's kind of funny. You don't see anybody coming and going except for students coming out to learn my technology, and they fly in from all over the world. So I guess
You
teaching people how to clean up the planet must be some kind of criminal act.
I've seen you demonstrate this motor so many times. We traveled to the preparedness expos together. You had one of the carburetors on your truck, I believe. We're
I
getting
sure did on my Suburban.
what was the mileage you were getting off that Suburban?
Well, when we were really in a hurry and we just put the pedal to the metal, we only got about double the mileage. But on a couple of the trips where we just cruised along, we got as high as 5 times the mileage. That's
Now,
not too shabby for a vehicle that from the factory only got 8 miles a gallon. When you get into the gas station, you try to fill it up, it only takes 3 gallons. You figure it out, going, oh, we're at 43 today. That's not too shabby.
this is
That was pulling a ton and a half of equipment.
that's right. You pulled a trailer too, and you've had scientists visit you. I've been with you at the Tesla convention. Kind of an interesting thing, though,
Oh,
at the Tesla convention. I said, how come we don't have any of Tesla's inventions here? How about a magnetic
well,
generator? Anybody got a magnetic generator around here? Oh, we can't have
hold
those.
on. That's against the law.
That's a violation of national security.
Yeah.
Anything that reduces your dependence on oil or gasoline, that's something for national security. We got to get the NSA on you.
Yeah.
And of
And
course,
in order to
that's
produce
news.
electricity that's efficient,
That's
if we had electricity that's efficient, we wouldn't have all these utility companies. And they need all that extra money. They got to be charging a little more every month to cover all that retirement costs and those big high paychecks. So we can't be cutting into national security.
well. Let's go back and talk about they have attacked you. Now, the same thing, Southern Poverty Law, what they're doing with this latest issue, and that's all linked up on my website. And I think it's really important because of what Snowden's going through now, what Bradley Manning is going through now, for just trying to tell you what's happening, is what you and I have been going through for 20 years.
Yeah. But now it's made it easier and easier for the government with all the new rules in there. When I was locked up at the beginning of that 3.5 years, the first few months was in jail, and it was atrocious. I mean, I'd see guys wake up in the morning with bloody ears and coughing up blood because the exhaust from a bus station next door in Salt Lake, the Salt Lake Transit, has a garage right next door. So at 5 o'clock, they start your buses up. And all that exhaust goes right into the vent system in the jail, causing carbon monoxide poisoning and other problems. And these guys are waking up, coughing up blood. They're in a horrible state. And this is just the way the system is because there's nobody to complain to. When I asked all the guys, there were 64 guys in each one of the units, I was trying to figure out numbers. I mean, we've got about 70% Mexicans locked up. About 10 to 15% of the guys in there are black. Yet there isn't even 1% of the population in Salt Lake that's black. How come there's none of the locals in here, just the out-of-towners, the people they don't want there? And why don't they treat them like human beings? They get a pretty good budget for taking care of us. But the budget goes to the people in uniform. It doesn't go to take care of the guys. So I was pretty appalled when I saw some of that. And then later, when they transferred me down to the medical ward, maximum security, I called the cops one day, and I said, hey, I just witnessed a murder down here in the building. One patient beating the heck out of the other one. The second one's in a coma. And he died a few days later. And they said, well, there's nothing we can do about it. That's not United States territory. We have no right. The FBI and the local police have no legal right inside that building. So what have we done with our system? Who owns this country? And who owns all these jails and mental facilities?
You know, the plans,
why the 30-year guys.
well, now they put you in this facility, this prison, this jail, for what exactly? I mean, you haven't committed a crime. You've never been found guilty of nothing. And I mean, they tried the same thing with me. They tried the same thing with me when they tried to kill me. When they put me in the hospital for 3 broken ribs for 3 months. And
the whole game there is they own that system. As long as they own that system, they can do what they want. And I'm not before they saying about it. They just go, okay. Well, we can't do that. So when the government finally let me know that there's this 1951 National Security Act, and I'm not supposed to sell any components or anything to people where they can get more than a 50, 60, 70% absolute jobs improvement in mileage. So that's why other countries can have better mileage than we do and less pollution if they wanted to. If you look online right now, just type in on the search engine, cars with good mileage not sold in America. Plan on spending a few hours reading. There's a lot of cars out there that cannot be sold here.
that just sort of triggered something else. Let me ask you about. Uh, you've studied history pretty well. What about Lindbergh? Lindbergh traveled across the Atlantic Ocean in a Piper Cub, wasn't it? How did
remember things like that?
How did he get all the way across the Atlantic Ocean on a tank of gas in a Piper Cub?
Well, the answers are in your back pocket. A lot of it used to be taught in third, fourth, fifth grade, and then it got deleted. They don't want the children to have that kind of knowledge, because some of them might remember it. So let's remove those things. We want to brainwash them into believing that we're doing everything for the public we can. We're trying to give you good, safe cars. We're trying to give you high mileage. Oh, give me an old carbureted car where I can get at least 4 or 5 times my mileage and tell me you aren't going to arrest me. Boy, I'd be a happy camper.
Now, this is actually part of the National Security Act. I mean, now I've got an interesting set of father-in-laws. You know, the first one was Secretary of Agriculture. Got hung up with Billy Solestus, and they had to put him down. But the other, his name was Sheriff Babcock, and he was a hell of a guy, man. As big as I am, could build anything, could make anything work. Worked on the Aswan Dam, and he built himself a Pogue carburetor. Put it on his truck. Was building one for my next father-in-law, was Colonel Loy Conrad, and two guys in blue pinstripe suits showed up. Yeah, Mr. Babcock, we're going to have to ask you to take that carburetor off of your car there and destroy that. And the one you're building for Mr. Conrad next door to you. And he said, what if I don't? He said, we'll kill you.
Yep.
And he believed him, and so he took it off. He took it off. And Mr. Conrad too got a little bit more heat for different reasons, but they, what they did to you again, putting you in an insane asylum, telling well, he thinks you can run this off of water, and in actuality you can, and it ain't a real difficult process to extract the hydrogen from water, is it?
Well, they don't mind you're doing it with HHO and other methods where the water actually will get into the engine because then, at that point, it will start causing damage to the engine, and they were fully aware of that. They knew that back before Hitler's time. And Hitler, now, he was an interesting character in one way. He didn't want the public, his citizens, to be without fuel, but he needed all that fuel for his military movement. So he set up schools in Germany to teach people how to run on alternative fuels. Veggie oil, wood gas, coal gas. You could run your car on anything you wanted. And he'd even teach you how to do it. Wow. Right after the war, though, all that stuff disappeared.
Yeah, and so did the freedom of a lot of people in East Germany, and don't think it's much better in West Germany right now. They keep trying to lure me there. I'm sure because that's where they sent Ernst Zundel, who disagreed on the number of Jews killed. Can't have that. You know, that 6 million is a sacred number. Been there for over 100 years. This
We're having a conference next week in Hungary, the 8th to the 12th. There's a conference for DEET, and it's a private one, just DEET only. We normally don't go to other people's conferences except to set up a little booth. But we're going to be doing a lot more all over the world, down in the Caribbean. We're getting set up down there right now. We're up into Canada now. There will be a class this next month in Toronto, and later this month in Toronto, and the next month over in BC. We are setting up all of our dealers in the United States to go ahead and start teaching. I'm trying to get out of the teaching and just teach the teachers. Because that's the only way we're ever going to get this out worldwide. There are countries that are willing to say, yes, you can use anything you want, including water, for fuel. But not this one. We have too much dependence on income. Is there?
yes, sir. I'm here. Go ahead.
Okay, I heard a big beep. But too much dependence and hand-in-hand operations where people that should know better are getting involved with doing things they really shouldn't be doing. It surprised me when you and I were first meeting 33 years ago. I had gotten a hold of Greenpeace and Sierra Club. I really thought people like that would just jump on board. But they finally admitted, we're looking for donations, not solutions. Solutions put us out of business. And that really does make sense.
Well, that's one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about, because with the way everything is going, 20 years ago, I mean, we've been we've been talking about this, talking about what's happening, and talking about Randy Weaver, and talking about Waco, and talking about Paul Pantone. I mean, I recall a big campaign to get you set free, and I got tired of reporting all of the tragedies, all of the people. Some people just had Fritz Springmeyer on who got busted. Some just they had one informer go, "Yeah, he was the brains behind the bank robbery that I pulled." You know, it's so they've gone after you, they've gone after me, they've gone after just about everybody, Fritz Springmeyer, anybody that was trying to do something. And years ago, I came up with a solution. And I figured if you could grow your own food and generate your own electricity, solar, wind generators, magnets, whatever you had, whatever you could use there, you could use the wind and sun that God gave us and grow plants. Then you wouldn't need the banks for nothing. You wouldn't need them for nothing. And I thought that was a solution. I thought that was a way to go. And they immediately tried to kill me after I came up with the plan for Liberty Villages. Now, even right now, you know, the problems that we're facing, it's about the food. I mean, it's about the GMOs. It's about Monsanto. It's about the Roundup. It's about the Agent Orange. Nothing's changed for since the '60s when I volunteered to go to Vietnam to fight the communists. Wait a minute. Too many of them here. Can't go over there. Now, there is a solution. I mean, and this is study after study after studies coming out that we don't have to move to the farm. We can bring the farm to the city. Oh, but that won't work, Clay. That won't work. The zoning, they won't allow you to have a chicken in this zone. They won't allow you to put the neighborhood association won't allow you to put a wind generator, a windmill up. We only ran and built this country using windmills across the plains, across the mountains. We built windmills, we hauled our water, we pumped our water, generated a little bit of electricity, and we built the United States of America. So I thought I had a good plan. But nobody wants to work together. Everybody wants to find the faults. Everybody wants to find something that's wrong, and they got people they pay big bucks to find something wrong with anything you do. Look at what Southern Poverty Law has tried to do to you. Read it's linked on there. I'm not going to repeat all of the crap that they try to say about you. They try to make it out like you're crazy, like I'm crazy for supporting you. And I mean, they're basically doing everything but calling us a terrorist for trying to get better gas mileage.
Yeah, yeah, and they misquoted a lot of people. Well, they also told me when the reporter was there, he said, "Well, the reason I'm here is the local sheriff. It seems to be afraid of you." I said, "Why?" He said, "Well, yeah, I know the Constitution. I mean, I don't know what the problem is here." Well, he went ahead and wrote that story, and then all of a sudden I started getting calls from other sheriffs in different counties wanting to come over to meet me and see the steam engine. They wanted to see what it was, and some of them wanted plans. And a couple of them gave me a warning that if they were in my shoes, they would get out of Dodge in a hurry because they have every intention in the world of being able to just walk in there, blow the house up with me and my brother in it, and then say, "Oh, we were justified. See, it was put in writing that they're evil people." I'm sorry, that's about the sickest thing I ever heard. But I didn't want to die, so I figured, you know what? This house just ain't worth it. 160 acres, a $750,000 house. I'd rather walk away from it alive than to go down with a ship. It's just a house. So I moved to Albuquerque, and here people seem to be a lot more friendly. A lot of bigger people want to see how to do it. And I'm gaining a lot of international followers right now that are coming in from all over the world that want big generators. So as soon as we got the money to build a couple of big generators, we're going to be putting out community generators that are between 150 to 400 kW on the small side, and as big as they want them on some of the islands.
And these
That's what it is.
generators
The islands in the Caribbean, the islands out in the Caribbean said if it's a U.S. island like Puerto Rico, no, we can't use salt water for fuel. If we go to the Dominican Republic and Barbados and some of the other islands, we can use anything we want for fuel.
But you can run, you know, I've said it just seems to me with the hydrogen conversion, all we really got to do for worldwide transportation is cast that hose overboard and run the boats on the water they're floating on.
But that's a good point because we've had a couple scientists here. About 25% of my students that come to see me hold PhDs in physics and other science fields, and they've all joked about the laws of thermodynamics, and I always laugh at them and go, no, it's the flaws with thermodynamics. Your books are great if all you're looking at are three states of matter, but now we're talking about plasma. It's a totally different field. The laws you're using are based on three states of matter. Now let's go to the fourth and fifth state. Now we can talk about energy, but you won't find books on it yet. That's what I'm in the process of doing, is writing a couple of books. Because if people understood how energy works, they could have all the energy they want. And no, you don't need a utility company, you don't need a gas station, but it would be against the law to do that in the United States, but not against the law to teach it, just to do it. So I can teach, and I'm not pushing beyond that line. Not in this country. In other countries, we can go a lot further. And sooner or later, the people in America will wake up and say, wait a minute, how come they got generators down there in the Caribbean or over in Russia, China, India, Pakistan, all these other countries that'll run anything, plastic, aluminum. I mean, you can use vapor from anything, turned it into fuel. How come we're only using the things here that don't work very well?
Now, let's talk about that. Let's talk about that because I had a film up at some time. I had a film up that said that showed a generator, magnetic generator built in Australia. It was stackable. That you could stack them up. You could do this with them. You could do that with them, and then you put them in your garage. There was no fuel, nothing. It'd run and run and run.
Yep.
But we couldn't have them here in America.
Well, I built my first one in 1983, and I built it because I woke up when I was about 6, 7 years old from a dream, and in my dream I built one. Well, I remembered how to do it, and years later I finally built one, about the time I met you. And Carol and everybody else I knew at the time was freaking out. I said, what? Look at this. It's been running for 3 days. It doesn't need any fuel. It's going to keep running forever. Well, it was either she and everybody else around me was going to leave me, or I had to get rid of it. So I dismantled it.
Now, why did they want you to get rid? Why did they want you to get rid of it?
Fear. What would the government do if we had fans and motors and things that would run without using their fuel, their power grid? They don't like that. That would give you freedom and independence. When you and I used to go to all those preparedness shows before the Y2K thing, I was asked a couple of times to speak, and I told the people it'd be best if I didn't because what I had to say wasn't going to be very nice. I could see a bunch of people wanting to survive, but every one of these groups thought they were the only group. Everybody had to join them. Nobody wanted to have a different person in charge. They all wanted it their way, and that's it. So they wouldn't even get along. And if there's no unity, then you have no fight.
It's
No
almost
common
like
goals.
we met the enemy, and the enemy is us because we can't get any backing. You know, you remember John Trockman, Militia, Montana.
Yep.
He was there when Randy Weaver were surrounded. He was trying to do something, and after my accident, he just quit. And I said, "Why? What's going on, John? What?" He said, "You know, Clay, we tried to tell him. We tried to tell him what the Federal Reserve was. We tried to tell him what NAFTA was. We tried to tell him what GATT was. We
Nope.
didn't get support
They
then.
call that.
We don't get support now. So fuck them. They're gonna get the government they deserve." And he went back to selling advertising or something like that. And
Yep.
you know, we've got so many veterans that have come back. More Vietnam veterans have come back and committed suicide than were killed in Vietnam. And I'm pretty sure the
That doesn't
statistics are
surprise
the
me.
same. I've told people anytime a communist regime takes over, they go after three classes of people in order. They go after the farmers first because they don't want you being able to feed yourself. They go after the intelligentsia next, anyone that's smart enough to know what they're doing. And third, they go after the veterans and law enforcement that are still loyal to the old regime. That'd be oath keepers. They're doing that now. Southern Poverty Law, again, attacking oath keepers, attacking Tea Party members, attacking anybody that wants to step out of that little mold they got you in.
Now hold on. It's funny because they put me in that group from Southern Poverty Law Center, and I had to laugh because I have never held a political meeting. I've never attended one. I should say, back in 1980, 82, I went to a couple of political meetings to see if I could get political support for DEET, and no one wanted any involvement with DEET, other than saying they're looking at it. See, we're looking at something that might help mankind. The minute they got on stage and thought they got a few green votes, they said, no, we're not interested. So I get the same thing year after year. The only thing that got me out of prison was not all of these letters. The letters helped a little. Getting hold of the judge didn't help at all. That just made him madder and madder. The people who came into the courtroom, hearing after hearing every 4 to 6 months, Your Honor, we have cars and trucks and generators and motorcycles sitting outside, all heated up. Can we show these to you?
Sorry about that.
Yeah, no problem. But that didn't get me out. The judge got madder and madder, told the bailiff, get everybody's name, address, and phone number and get them out of the courtroom. What finally got me out was senators. My son came to the conclusion that all these other things hadn't worked. The press, nothing was working for us. So he started calling senator after senator, and all of a sudden, a couple of them answered. What do you mean there's torture going on in Utah? What do you mean these things are happening here? That can't happen in this country. Well, not all of the senators and congressmen are crooks. We finally got a couple that really wanted to listen. They came down there, and boy, I was released within 24 hours. So if you're trying to support somebody getting out of there, you could waste your time on all the videos you want, YouTube's. That doesn't seem to rattle or cage. They come up with a counter story, just like the Southern Poverty Law Center. If you want to believe those liars, hey, that's fine. But the truth is, we have a corrupt system that needs modification. And a few of the senators and congressmen might be honest. So don't start with just one. Hit 10 or 20. Get as many as you can. Sooner or later, you're going to find one that still has a shred of honesty. It's like when Jesse Ventura first got into office, he thought he was going to make some changes. And he wasn't too happy with the results he got because he kept hitting brick walls.
Well, I know how the political system works. You know, you only you don't know about anybody. They don't want to tell you about anybody like Ron Paul. They don't want to tell you about
Nope.
Jesse Ventura's. They don't want to tell you the people that would make a difference, that would make a change. And I think that's why they're so afraid of me. If I got the kind of support that I should have, I worked with presidential candidates and I saw what happened. I mean, when Charles Collins got up speaking, you got to meet Charles. When he got up to speak to tell people could buy back the Federal Reserve, we could wipe out a $16 trillion debt. I think it was only about $6 trillion back then.
Yep.
They turned the cameras off. They unplugged his microphone. So every cameraman on stage, CNN, ABC, NBC, took a smoke break. So you didn't know there was a Republican running for office that would have eliminated the Federal Reserve the way Kennedy tried to do.
Well, while I was locked up, I was told that Mr. Collins was putting up a good battle for me. And every now and then somebody called in and saying, well, what about this deep thing? And he said, I was in that car. And yes, it has full power. And yes, it gives good mileage. And I know Paul Pantone, yes. And when he and I first met, he did not believe one word coming out of my mouth to be true. I mean, if this was real, the government would have embraced it. PM would have embraced it. Right. In a real world. What happened here? Well, he at first thought I was doing some conspiracy theory work, and then he realized, no, everything this guy has is fact. It's not theory. I'm not putting any conjecture into here. I'm just saying here are the absolute facts. This is what this person said. This is what this person did. Excuse me. The facts speak for themselves. And when the reporter from Southern Property Law Center was there, he forgot I had cameras in my house. So part of the conversation that he put in there and made up is on tape.
That you're what?
Even like NBC, CBS, we're waiting for some of that tape up because some of the interviews I did where they walked through the whole house and there isn't a BB gun anywhere, there isn't anything anywhere. And the only thing I'm teaching are people who want to clean up the planet. So what am I doing wrong? Violating the 1951. No, I'm not. It says you cannot build them. You cannot patent them. Before a patent can be issued, it must be reviewed by a government review board from the Army, Navy, and all the other agencies so they can determine whether it might be an interference for national security, and they can seize it. So I'm not using any type of conspiracy here. I'm just saying, no, these are facts. And it says in black and white, do not do this. And I'd love to do it.
Now let me bring some people up to date here. Let me bring some. You started this in Utah. We actually started in California. Then you went to Utah, and
Yep.
then you went to Oklahoma. And I called you up, said I was looking for a place to light. You invited me up to Oklahoma.
Yep.
And
I did with 160 acres there, you could really be comfortable and put in all your inexpensive homes with power generation, live off the land. There's plenty of water there and everything else. But then a month later, when that article hit, I had to get back in touch with you and say this would not be a safe place to be.
now, is that just a coincidence here, Paul? I mean, we know we
Let
know.
the facts speak for themselves.
We know that when I made a phone call on my cellular phone, now they're starting to admit that everybody's phone is tapped. But as soon as I made the call to my son, where do you need me to go next, son? He gives me directions. 20 minutes later, somebody's tried to kill me. I'm in a hospital I'm in an ambulance headed for a hospital. When Casey Nettercott, which was part of the ranch rescue, and you can read about that. Again, this was another divide and conquer operation. I told him it was expensive to do a magazine. He wanted to help. He said, Clay, I got $1.5 million in one account. Money's not a problem. Come down and see me. Buy me breakfast, Casey. I'll be down in the morning. I was down in the morning, but we didn't have breakfast together because he got shot coming out of Safeway with my breakfast. Then I get with you, and you invite me up there, and what happened? Southern Poverty Law popped up, and Southern Poverty Law was also responsible for putting Casey back in prison in Texas on some trumped up charge of pistol whipping two illegal aliens. He already been found not guilty on that. While he was going to trial in Texas on that, Southern Poverty Law sued him and took his 70-acre ranch away. That story was on 60 Minutes. They just don't tell you. They don't tell you that he got shot buying Clay Douglas breakfast. Now, I kind of wondered, Paul, you've known me for 25 years. You knew me when I started my first magazine, High Country, High Adventure for Today's Cowboy.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm just an old biker from Texas, man, an old cowboy from Texas. What do they got so? What do they got such a fear of someone like me?
I wouldn't care if you were only 4'11". If you're talking truth and constitutional issues, they don't like it. So, being a bigger target, I don't know. I look at myself. I mean, did they really need to drill out all my teeth? Well, they thought they did. By drilling them all out and putting me in so much pain from the infections that they finally came in and had the guts to say, just sign your patents over to us and we'll put you out of your misery. No, I like pain. Pain's my friend. But you're not getting my patent. So they go after people in different ways. I mean, my brakes were cut, my car was blown up, my house was burned down, all that happened in California. In Utah, they decided not to do the same thing. Let's try something different. Let's hire 3 psychiatrists or 4 that work for the court and get paid $3,500 to say whatever the judge wants, and we'll just lie through our teeth. They do it all the time. They get paid good money for it, so they lied and said, "Oh, this guy's crazy." Yet when we hired real psychiatrists that didn't get that big money, they only made $150 an hour. They said, "No, there's nothing wrong with this man. He's not paranoid. He's not delusional. Uh, he's quite intelligent." So what is the problem here? The judge refused all those comments. He didn't want any witnesses except those that he paid. Now, I found a big flaw there in California and in Utah. If a psychiatrist says, it's my opinion, it's not based on any damn fact, it's my opinion they'll keep him in prison or locked up. Facts were not allowed. So that way the court can control exactly what's going on. I thought you had to be convicted of things based on fact, but not in Utah.
Now,
did you know what the number of people is? 64 people in a group, all in jail. What do you think the number of those would be in there for something really serious like possession of a possible forgery instrument? You know, they had a pen or pencil in their car, and that was enough to get them 6 months in jail.
Paul, one of the problems that we've got here, and I've been on this for more than longer than I've been in the Patriot movement. I've told people, if a man with a badge can walk up to you and say, "Is that marijuana I smell?" Whoa, boy, you're gonna do some time. "What's that in your pocket, son? That looks like cocaine. Is that cocaine? Is that speed? What do you got in your pocket, son?" Whoa, you're gonna do some time. If a man with a badge can do that, you live in a police state. The war on drugs was a war on the American people. As Ayn Rand told us on Atlas Shrugged, the government has no control over honest people, so they have to make criminals out of us.
One of the other inventors I know out of New Jersey gave away his technology on the internet. I think it's Joe Carliotti or something like that. But he said that he got busted for pounds of cocaine on him. He doesn't do coke. He never even tried it. They found it. And later, 7 years later, they found out, oh, that was a coke missing from another case, and it disappeared out of our property room. We don't know how that happened. And when you hear about this over and over, the number of inventors that get put in nut houses because the courts don't want to, no, it's not the courts. Somebody above them is saying, hey, put this guy down. We need him out of the loop for a while. We need to destroy his marriage, take everything he's got away from him so when he finally gets released with nothing, he's going to run away with his tail between his legs. Well, when I got released, I had 23 cents and a check for $20 that I couldn't cash anywhere, no ID, and I had to start over from nothing. I'm sorry, when you're approaching 60 years old and you got to start over from zero, that makes it hard. Now, if you really want a good laugh, you'll get one here. While I was locked up, I got served with papers saying that I am a daddy, and I owe child support. And I wrote back saying, well, if I only saw that girl January the 15th, and she had a baby 11 and a half months later, how could it be mine? Well, it's her word against mine, so therefore she's right and I'm wrong. Obviously, people in the welfare department and court system don't know that pregnancies are 9 months.
Well, this is what they do, taking down your family. Now you've lost a wife or two. I mean, I've gone through
Oh,
more
yeah.
than I can count right now. And Fritz Springmeyer was just on somebody else's show, and I'm pretty sure he lost his wife and family on this. And to this day, I really don't know why, other than my wife's father was involved with Billy Sawless. This was involved with Kennedy and the Kennedy administration, and he was pretty much a crook. And he threatened to disown her if she came back to me. What happened with your wife, and what's going on in your family? I just want to illustrate to people we're in a war here, and
Well, it's a long drawn out one there, but basically, the first incident told me that it was over. My wife was poisoned one day while we were at home, and we had a 3-story house. I was upstairs in the bedroom, came down in the morning. She hadn't joined me. I thought she fell asleep on the couch. I found her. She's all convulsing, and her eyes are rolled back in her head. I called 911, got an ambulance over there. And normally, if they think there's been an attempted murder, they're going to interview you. Police cops came in, the rescue squad came in. They didn't know what to give her. She'd been poisoned, and they were calling the hospital. And some of the things that she was showing signs, I believe at that point I knew what poison was and who gave it to her. So I look around, and here are a pair of glasses by the door, and the door handle got fingerprints on it. Cop goes over and wipes the fingerprints off, and he hands me back my driver's license, and he said, I'm sorry, Mr. Pantone, there's no report there to do. I said, what do you mean, no report? He said, well, there's no fingerprints and no evidence. I said, there are a pair of glasses there. Those are prescription sunglasses. I know who belongs to them. He said, well, sir, I didn't see them there. You might have put them there, so we're not going to do any report. I said, there's been an attempted murder. He said, sir, we're not doing a report. If you want one done, do it yourself. Now, that was first clue. The next one, that was the second time he tried to kill her. The next clues are coming from her granddaughter. Her granddaughter comes up and says, Grandma, I want to see you one more time. Policemen came by and talked to me, and they said they're going to lock you and Paul up for the rest of your lives. So I'll never get to see you again. Can you please come by? Molly took her wedding ring off. No matter how much there was love both ways, she decided living with her family, with her grandkids, was much more important than standing up for a cause and spending the rest of your life in prison. I don't blame her. I could never trust her again, but they conned her into passwords and keys and everything else. They could raid everything in my house and steal everything they wanted. I make sure there's nothing around that's illegal. There's no plans here on how to run on water or anything else. I don't have any weather machines like they do. I don't have any of those things here. And I'm not going to have any of those things here in America. I wouldn't want to go to jail for something that silly.
The it's we've had this technology for 100 years. We've had
Yeah.
and it's been suppressed for 100 years. Let's see if that's accurate, that means this suppression started about 1913 with the founding of the Federal Reserve, and our founding fathers, Paul, warned us if you ever allow a private bank to issue your money, the banks and the corporations that spring up around them will leave your children homeless in the land that we conquered.
Yeah.
So it's the corporations that are running the oil. It's the corporations that are putting the pharmaceuticals on. The pharmaceuticals are so, and the doctors, as far as I'm concerned, that's a conspiracy all by itself, and it ain't to keep you well. They don't make any money off of you if you're well. They don't make any money off of me. I go to a doctor once every 20 years or so.
Oh, jeez. Doctors come to me when they heard that I had hepatitis and herpes and everything else. And it all went away in 3 weeks. They come to me trying to find out how, because they don't learn that in their school. Their school says you keep giving them drugs. So what do you mean herbs? How do herbs work? Well, anybody can go online and look up alternative health products. And go to those that are not trying to sell 1,000 products. Go to those that are more educational. Then go look for the products you want. Because a lot of the people that a product, if it's one thing, that's fine. They may have what they say. But when you go to a site that says, oh, you need these 5 million things here in this order, and please buy them all from us, it has our label on it, that scares me. Now you look more like a pharmaceutical company. And look to see if the site you're on isn't being printed by the Mayo Clinic or the University Medical Team. Get one that's independent. And research it. Don't go by what you hear on the first site. A lot of them will say, hey, try cayenne pepper, try this, try that. But when people call me from all over the world saying, hey, I got a toothache, what would you take? I'd mix a couple drops of clove oil with maybe some olive oil and put it on the gum, because that would take away the pain from the toothache and take out some of the pain and swelling. But that's what I would do. I'm not recommending it to anybody. I just tell people what I would do. And I always do it in such a way that I'm not trying to prescribe anything. I'm just telling them what I would do if it was me and I had that problem. So I'm trying to keep 110% above what the law says you can do here, so that I'm not in any trouble with anybody. And yet I still have the respect from all these MDs and PhDs that they call me on a daily basis. And sometimes it gets a little difficult when they call me at weird hours, but I get over it. As far as the system, you can't have a system run by the same people that are supposed to be covering it. And in Utah, it is all governed by the same people. In other states, it's all governed by the same people. If you got to file a complaint against a psychiatrist for some criminal act, where do they send you? Oh, well, we're going to send you to this group. This is where we review everything, and it's all his peers. Well, of course he didn't do anything wrong. We're going to cover for him. And every department does that, whether it's a cop or whatever. They always protect their own people first. It's a shame Americans don't do that.
We're coming up on a break here, and I want you to stay with me because what you've illustrated in this past hour is that we do have the technology, we do have the ability. Physician, heal thyself. You can heal yourself, and you can stop the problems. And God gave us the way to do that. And
Well, I
it,
have a very, very tiny amount of information on my website where people can get a hold of me and see some of the basic things, but we have to take down all the good stuff. If they want to talk about good stuff, they can call me. My phone number is right up on the website, and it's www.geetinternational.com. And we answer emails 7 days a week, and we teach 7 days a week. Somewhere in the world, there's a class going on.
well, you made rounds now. You're back in Albuquerque, where I started the Free American. Albuquerque was a good town, other than the fact that you know you got 700 nuclear weapons sitting under the mountain there. We got to take a break. We'll be right
Yeah,
back.
okay.
Paul Pantone is my guest. We'll be right back. You're listening to the Free American. Be right back.
Listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. We'll be right back. What the hell will remain a dictatorship? Oh, be quiet. Why are you guys so anti-dictator? Imagine if America was a dictatorship. You could let 1% of the people have all the nation's wealth. You could help your rich friends get richer by cutting their taxes and bailing them out when they gamble and lose. You could ignore the needs of the poor for healthcare and education. Your media would appear free, but would secretly be controlled by one person and his family. You could wiretap phones. You could torture foreign prisoners. You could have rigged elections. You could lie about why you go to war. You could fill your prisons with one particular racial group, and no one would complain. You could use the media to scare the people into supporting policies that are against their interests. Tune in Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. Eastern Time for Liberation Nation with Deacon John, where America comes to hear the truth. I know this is hard for you Americans to imagine, but please try. Got it out of work, or scared of losing their job? Dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks go and bust shopkeepers, keep them gun under the coat. Punks are running wild in the streets when nobody anywhere seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. We know the air is unfit to breathe, our food is unfit to eat. We know things are bad, worse than bad. I want you to get mad. I want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the rush to the crime in the streets. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. My life, I value. Yo, yo! Be here Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time and here at the news. Jason Brentwood. Because when it's time to crush, it's time for Jason. Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. You don't need to expect us. We're already here. This is Thomas, a.k.a. Mad Painter. I'd like you to join me Monday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Open Canvas. Don't forget to bring an open mind. Yeah, folks, that's right. Bring an open mind to an open canvas. Again, that is Monday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern. UFOs, government corruption. This is Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. You don't need to expect us. We're already here.
Now you can share the topics that drive the discussions of your favorite talk shows with TalkStream Live topic-driven talk radio. List and promote real-time talk radio topics, or post the topics that you want to hear. Hot topics are tweeted and retweeted, and include simple click-to-listen audio links. The future of talk radio is topic-driven talk radio. Available now at TalkStreamLive.com. Revolution Radio.
You don't see it, do you? How close we are to absolute chaos? The sick ones are sitting on their fat asses, eating and drinking themselves into a stupor, polluting the world without a second thought while it goes down the toilet. Nobody wants to do the nasty work. You know, the shit that we all just think about. Most good citizens are just along for the ride, and they can bitch and moan and complain about everything when it doesn't work out. Not me. Get it done.
Revolution Radio, where we do the nasty. www.freedomslips.com.
The moment you realize you're caught in a dream, the adventure begins. Put your seat backs and tray tables in the upright position as we take a trip into the very fabric of reality. Join me, Andrew Parsons, for Adventures into Reality, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 noon at Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com, where information never sleeps.
Is your data safe? You have the necessary information to assist you in confidently living through just about any survival situation. In survival, from gardening, off-grid living, medical knowledge, or even natural or man-made EMPs on your list of personal concerns, you have your documents and your personal information in a safe place, in your hands, where you know where it is. Well, check out our preloaded EMP-proof thumb drive. Over 3 gigs of survival documents and how-tos, plus the USDA offline food preservation website, and much, much more, including a surprise bonus we just can't tell you about. With plenty of room left over to store your most important documents. Imagine if a megavirus or a computer failure took out your bank, or all the banks for that matter. Are your banking records safe in your hands? So when they get things fixed and repaired, you can say, hey, look, this is what I had. You have it, I want it back. Is your personal data safe? Family records, addresses, phone numbers? Well, squeeze on over to freedomslips.com. Yes, that's www.freedomslips.com. Click the banner on the homepage for the EMP-proof bullet drive to get the full scoop of everything that we offer. So, folks, keep your data safe for your peace of mind. Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. You don't need to expect us. We're already here. Revolution Radio. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
All right, welcome back. You are listening to the Free American. And let's see what else I want to do here. Paul Pantone is my guest today. And Paul, you are taking this international now. We've talked about they've tried to imprison you and silence you in Utah. You went to Oklahoma, made the mistake of inviting me up, and immediately Southern Poverty Law and their agents are probably sitting in the chat room right now, under the name of Kosher or something like that. Just trying to see what we're talking about, see if they can nip any plans we got in the bud. I used to tell the FBI, you don't need to tap my phone, man. Tune into my radio show. You'll find out everything I'm doing. And it's that's really true because I'm not doing anything wrong. I started the militias. I got in New Mexico. I got demonized for that. They just don't tell you I did it in the governor's office. Wasn't exactly a terrorist setup. Southern Poverty Law and the ADL, two Jewish organizations, and I don't know how much. Somebody asked me, what does your guest think about my people? Talking about the slimy Jews who say they're Jews but are not, or of the synagogue of Satan. At least that's the way Jesus described it. But who am I to argue with Jesus? It's wanted to know. These people, these ADL came after me before I had done anything. They came after me after what happened at Waco, after I was outraged about what happened at Waco. And we know why they're coming after you, because you got a device that doubles your mileage. And let me ask you about that. Obviously, with these kind of attacks on you, it's hard to go get a corporation set up to get enough money to mass produce these things, if they would even allow you to do it. I'm almost surprised you got a patent on that, although Pogue got a patent on his carburetor too. But you can't do this. You can't do a magnetic motor because they call those perpetual motions. You can't do a perpetual motion machine. You can't get a patent on it. So
Nope.
the and what they've done to me for the last 10 years is I try to end any source of income that I have. I've always made my money writing articles, selling articles, distributing magazines, printing magazines, and distributing them, and selling advertising. You can't even do that today. It's like, wow, at 67 years old, I got to learn a new trade. I mean, I learned this trade using X-Acto knives and rubber cement to do my layouts. And today, you don't do any layouts like that. You do all that on a computer, but it's not even the magazines aren't even selling anymore. Barnes and Noble going out of business. Library bookstores are going out of business. Publishers ain't making any money off publishing because nobody wants to spend $20 on a book.
Yep.
And
Well,
if
the
they,
sad part of that is the number of plagiarizers that will just copy whatever you come up with, put it on their website, say, look what I came up with, and you spend all your time trying to put the clerks out of business. I've had 4 people that came in to be trained that after signing documents they wouldn't compete or do anything else against me, went out and filed patents claiming they invented it. Now it takes guts to come to somebody's class, and one kid wrote me a rough check. Then he left with my class books, went home, took a picture that was published in 1999, claimed he invented it in 2007, and was out on the Wall Street there trying to raise the money to get his new company going. Luckily, one of the investors saw that picture and said, wait a minute, that looks like the donation Paul Pantone made to mankind to get the technology out. So he pulled it up on the website, and sure as heck, it's my invention, it's my picture. He just cut the writing off of it and put his name at the top, claiming he invented it. Yeah. Well, they're looking for him now all throughout the United States. A few other people are being sought after right now, too, because they claim they invented it and couldn't even tell you why it worked.
now the Southern Poverty Law, they sent a guy out. Did you know he was from Southern Poverty Law, or was he just pretending to be a
Oh,
reporter?
he came over to me. He said he was covering a murder trial up in Stevens County, Oklahoma. And while he was there, the sheriff and a couple of his deputies were talking about how we have a compound where we were training militants and conspiracy theorists. And I looked at him and said, really? And where are we doing that? This is just a two-bedroom home. He said, well, it's a huge two-bedroom home. I said, well, if you'd been locked up in a little cage for 3.5 years illegally and you got out and you had your freedom and you could build what you want, you don't think you'd have a 45-foot long living room? I wanted a big house with a lot of room. So it's only 4 bedrooms, or 2 bedrooms, but it's got 4 baths, 3 fridges, 3 microwaves. I didn't want to walk that far to get something. But yeah, I built it for my convenience and to have students come in that wanted to learn science. I'm sorry, teaching science is not teaching ballistics or anything like that. I mean, these people are out of their minds. But they made this garbage up based on what the sheriff said, according to what they were telling me. And now that you put the pieces together saying, isn't it funny that it's right after you talked to me and offered me a place to build? Yeah, it is kind of a coincidence.
Now, these people, I mean, they are paid to do this. They're paid to come in here. They're paid, especially with Southern poverty law. You know, they need the demonization. They got to make somebody, well, you know, Clay did this, Clay did that.
Yeah.
This is all to end any type of financial security. They go after your wife, they go after your children because they don't want you having any backup.
Yep.
Now,
Well, I've got a few hundred dealers worldwide. They'll give me all the backup I need now because my insurance policy, which is in place, is 500 people worldwide will immediately put on the internet how to run your car and your generator on pure water if anything happens to me again. That's going to be my final gift to mankind because I figure if they're going to take me out again this time, they're going to try to do it permit. And hell, let's disrupt them. Let's just take them out completely. If we don't need any more gas or oil or anything else, that takes away about 1/3 of their government income.
now,
So if you leave me alone, I'll leave them alone, and I'll play within their little game rules. Of don't put out anything to the public as a kid. Don't be above 50% improvement in mileage in the United States. But that doesn't mean I can't teach people around the world to build what is proper and politically correct in their countries. And it doesn't mean I can't teach here, it just means we can't market it here. So since there are about 1,000 people that know how to get high mileage, I don't think you'd ever identify a car that's got one. Not unless you're dumb enough to talk about it on a telephone or an email or put it up on YouTube. We had one poor guy that was a dealer who did that. He put it up on YouTube and he was a little sarcastic. But he said, well, Paul said we can't talk about more than 50% improvement in mileage. So here's my Subaru getting 19 miles a gallon. Once I put the heat on there, this is what I'm getting now, but I'm not going to say more than 50%. And then he goes, 68 miles per gallon. And so that was not smart. Well, he got a couple calls. He ended up going bankrupt, and he's no longer operating in the United States as a dealer. So he learned his lesson. A very expensive one.
now, Paul, with the latest news out, we got Bradley Manning, you know, a whistleblower, basically saying we shouldn't be killing people with drones, at least not reporters and children. We got Snowden, who may be being harbored in the Russia, which would that mean that the United States is more of a communist country than Russia or China is nowadays?
Well, every country that I've acquired an opening to, every single country on the planet that I've talked to has indicated they have specific limitations of what can and cannot be marketed in their country. Down in Uganda, the government likes that $19 a gallon road tax. In other countries, they don't want us there at all. In some little areas, smaller countries say, yes, we would love to have 0 electric bills And we'd love to have zero production from oil here. We'd love to use the garbage we have. We'd like to take the plastic and the glass, everything in our dump, and use it. So we're teaching people how to use plastic and glass and everything else in the dump, turn it back into usable products in your community so you don't need dumps anymore. And there we have tremendous numbers of people now wanting to get on board because it's a big problem worldwide. So maybe we can't give people double and triple their mileage today, but let's get that knowledge out there and let's give the people what they can get without being politically incorrect.
Now, talk to me about a generator because if a generator can be put in your garage or in your backyard that will run twice as long on using your carburation system. And
We don't sell generators that get more than a 50% increase. Now, people build them, and I can't control what they build, but I tell them not to go above 50%. But yeah, we're on the same page. Now, one of the gentlemen who came to school, learned how to build them, went home, and he had the equipment so he could analyze what the exhaust gases were. And he was in a power outage. He's a great big black guy. And he ran out to the garage when all the power went off in the neighborhood. He turned off his main breaker, grabbed the generator, ran it into the living room, plugged it in, and started the engine up. It was a Thanksgiving day, and everybody in the family was all upset about him leaving it outside. He said, I'm not going to leave it in the front yard. He seems small enough, somebody could grab it and run off with it, and he ain't going to be able to stop him. And he said, well, you can't run it in the house. He said, well, I can run this one in the house. So he went down to his furnace area, took the carbon monoxide detector out of the plug, came down, and he checked the carbon monoxide level coming from the engine. And he said, see that? It's a .01. Now, he goes over to the stove, which is a natural gas stove, and he holds it about a foot above the door. 100 times more pollution coming from the stove than there was the engine. Yes, you don't see all the gas stoves in this country vented outside properly. They do tell you not to use your stove to heat the house because it's not safe. They don't exactly tell you why. So, heat engines, when properly built, are more efficient than anything else on the market today, other than just a magnetic motor or something of that nature that has zero outside oil or anything else in it. You're going to get a lot more efficiency, but against the law. And we're in a position now that the country needs change. We need to eliminate the pollution. Obama's known about our technology. We've had MIT professors and people from all over the world write him letters, and he's a science advisor, saying, here's heat, it works, we've been there, we'd love to work with you. Not one response, not even a formula. So after 36 years of beating my head against the wall, I'm not going to any government, any politician. I'm going to people. And I teach people. And a lot of the scientists said they can't even take what they've learned here back into the classroom. It'd be against the law. You can only teach what the government says you can.
That
So
is.
as long as we can control the people not getting the knowledge, then the school system is doing a great job.
Now, what we've got the technology, but it's against the law to use it. So what do we do here? Where's the breaking point here, and how do we bring people together? I mean, frankly, I'm about had it, you know. Even on the chat rooms.
I don't want anybody breaking any law and getting in trouble for me. So what I do is I teach them everything I can about science, and I give them a training manual to go home with, so they can teach their kids and their kids' kids. So it's going to be here for generations. It isn't going to get wiped out like the code and other things. This is going to be around. And right now, the thousands of books I've already sent out throughout the U.S. and Canada, not counting the ones all into Europe, there are books of heat technology all over the world. And if anything happens to me, those books are going to be replicated, and they're going to be up on site all over. So how many places can you go where you're not going to hear about a geek? Well, we had a hacker out of the Philippines, and he said he checked me in Arabic languages, Russian, Chinese, several different languages, and he said, man, you're on about 8 million websites worldwide. And a lot of them don't even really mention you, they mention geeks. Now, some of them do have the decency of saying the inventor is Paul Pantone, but a lot of them, these guys are just trying to raise donations by sharing knowledge. And I call those guys crooks. And I think they call it, what is it, shareware or shareware, that's it. Oh, we're not stealing from you, we're sharing it with the world. We're taking the last 36 years of your life and giving it away for donations so we can make money and you can starve to death.
Well, that's really the problem with the internet. I put out the same information on this radio show that I did, the same quality that I did in the magazine, but I made money out of the magazine because somebody would go in and spend $2. On the internet, it's like nobody will make a $10 donation to get and read a book that I've spent years on.
Well, when I put up the free plans in 1999, it was the worst model I ever built, but it worked. It was not well. It will run for about 10 or 15 minutes just to prove that the concept works. It took me years to come up with getting it perfected, but I didn't put that up. And I figured anybody who made a donation, I'd work with it. Now, I put on the bottom, this is just to prove the technology works. Once you've gotten to that point, if you'd like to advance further, you could make a donation. It would be greatly appreciated. And in the first 10 years, I made $105. $5 from one U.S. person and $100 from a foreigner. Two donations. Millions and millions of copies downloaded. But nobody wanted to pay for it. Then I got probably 35,000, 40,000 emails saying what a rotten SOB I was because I didn't teach them how to run on pure water. So you can't please all the people.
I don't know that you can please any of the people. I swear to God, I think they're all insane. I don't know, and I don't know whether to blame it on the fluoride in the water, or the electromagnetics in the cell phone, or the Talmud vision that they call TV.
Well, I got a call 2 days ago. You'd laugh at the way I did this. But the guy calls up and he says, "Hey, brother, I see your plans on the internet and all, and I just don't have the right links, and I don't have this and I don't have." I said, "If you want details on how to perfect it, the plans are $300. I'd be happy to walk you through it." "Oh, okay." Well, he called back 10 minutes later and said, "Okay, I just bought the plans." Well, I'm the only guy in the world right now with the new plan. I said, "Really? It's not showing up on my computer." "Oh, well, your office took it." "This is my office." The guy hung up.
Well, it's incredible. I don't know.
You're going to lie, cheat, and steal to get anything they want.
And it's going to get worse. When you don't have your own food, all they got to do is flip a switch. If your power don't work, if the pumps don't pump, the trucks don't run, you don't eat. And to me, that my whole Liberty Village concept, I said, a lot of people can't move to the farm. Nobody could come out to see me in Bingham because, it was just too far. They couldn't live out there. They couldn't get to work. They got to be in town to get to work. So why not bring the county to the city? Why not bring the farm to your block? Now, if you don't want to work and you don't want to grow it, well, maybe your neighbor would co-opt it for you. I mean, this is really what I'm looking at is a co-op, because in a co-op, you put in something, you put in some money, you get a benefit. You put in a product, you got a sale. And a co-op that they've done in Oklahoma, food co-op is helping the farmers. It's giving the farmers an outlet for their goods, and you get to know where your food comes from. I'd like to see that happen in Texas, and I'd like to see it happen in every state.
The way the government's leaning on people producing food for more than their own family is getting worse by the day.
They will absolutely not want you to do that, but if you turn your backyard into a garden instead of growing crabgrass, you won't starve, your neighbors won't starve, your family won't starve, and to hell with what the government wants.
Yeah. I hear you loud and clear. Yeah, and I get sick every time I look at current news and what's happening, and not on the mainstream, but on the off-the-record news that you get on the internet. There's a lot of different programs. Reports News is one of them. Forbidden Knowledge has shared a lot of things with me. I tried to share one with you the other day there on the Titanic that people didn't know about. And when you read all of it, you just feel sicker and sicker. How long has this been going on? And what seems to be always going on.
Always been going on. Matter of fact, I'm going back and I'm doing stories, short stories, articles, on what it could have been like 10,000 years ago. Where we get, I don't think, I think we go through periods of regression where we lose our technology, but I think they've had better technology than we got today 10,000 years ago.
In some areas, I'm going to have to agree with you. When you start studying the pyramids and how they were electrical devices, and batteries have been found in some of them, there is a lot of common sense that has been lost. And people do not want to do anything if it requires work. I tried to show some people how to build a furnace for your home that sits outside the house and use lawn clippings to do it. And it'll heat your home very comfortable. You're going to be spending maybe $50 a year. And a few Canadians have tried it, called back saying, my God, it was like from $1,250 a month to $50 a year. Well, that really got the oil companies up there upset. Fuel oil companies really don't like these systems. But if you're not doing too many in an area, they don't seem to care. One or two, well, we can grin and bear. But you start taking away a lot of their customers, you're going to have accidents.
Well, one of the things that I'm doing, part of this is education, folks. And, we've got Timothy Bible College and we got the Little Red Schoolhouse. We ought to be doing that in every home and training it so we don't have to worry about our kids at Columbine or Sandy Hook. And
well, I saw the article. I can't think of the guy's name now. The pastor out there, I think he was in California, who recently got arrested for having Bible study in his home.
Yeah, I saw that. Well, they're coming after Christianity. Christianity works. Jesus told you you can do what I do and more. Jesus told you don't need the rabbis, you don't need the preachers. God's inside us.
Yep.
You got a direct link. Yeah, somebody on the chat room tells me Nevada has just passed the decriminalization of pot. That's a start, folks. If don't just be satisfied with pot. There is no reason to put anybody in jail for what they put in their body. It makes more sense to arrest somebody for taking Valium and buying Valium than smoking crack or sniffing meth or shooting heroin. If they want to kill themselves with drugs, let them buy it, take it home with them, and kill themselves. Why should we have to keep them in prisons, feed and clothe people for a victimless crime? And people
Well,
are
that goes right back to what I was saying when over half the guys in that jail in Utah were there for possession of a possible forgery instrument. I said, you gotta be kidding me. Nope, that's the system. Every state's got its pluses and minuses. I looked up for years to Texas, but when I heard they were going to try to stop the TSA and the government came back saying, well, no flights in or out of Texas then, uh, Big Brother has always got a bigger hammer, and now that they've spied on people, I love the response they got from Germany. If you've been listening to our calls, well, that could be considered a federal offense. You have no right eavesdropping on our emails and our other information. Uh, we need to look into this. Other countries are now starting to stand up and say, hey, quit doing it right now. People are sending emails back and forth. That's between those people.
We are making progress. In Colorado now, you can grow hemp again. We can start a whole new industry in Colorado. Maybe in Nevada now too. And that's
Big Brother's trying to be involved there, saying if you do, we're still going to come in with feds and bust you because it's against federal law. And we're not going to let you change it, state law. You're going to be under our law or else. So we've got these battles going on.
That's right.
But it's always who's got more leverage. You know, if you're a judge and somebody holds a big enough hammer over your head because you send an email or a text or a tweet to somebody and says, now we're going to make this public. If you don't approve this, you're going to approve whatever you're told.
Well, this is part of the education plan here. We got to let people know that the things that happen in here aren't right. I mean, the federal government ain't right here, and
I was told never to show up at a university to do testing because I might not leave there. And I did go to one, and it was the Southern Baptist Community College up there in Cedarville, Ohio. They invited me, and when I got there, we had an auditorium full of people, and the first three rows were all from Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in uniform. I left the generator with small engine plans and other things there so they could start teaching me immediately. They shipped it all back to me saying, I'm sorry, but it's against the law for us to teach this at a university, and if we do, we'll lose all of our grant money, all of our student loans, and we will no longer be an accredited school. So we cannot teach your technology here, and you're not welcome at our property.
What college was this?
Cedarville, Ohio, the Southern Baptist Community College. They really wanted the technology, and the students here were excited when they saw it. But when the government told them they couldn't do it, man, they backed off in a heartbeat. Now, if you're a private school and you're told you can't teach something, you better listen. They'll find ways of shutting you down. They'll find plumbing violations, building code violations, anything. But the worst thing would be to take all your credentials away when you can't teach it anymore. If you're not an accredited school, you're out of business. So with that threat, they were able to do it. We got a lot of guys in the American Society of Engineers that have come in. They looked at it and they said, you know, we don't dare touch this because if we do, we're going to lose all of our accreditation. We're going to lose our diplomas on the wall and everything else. We can't be involved. We can only do what the oil companies and car companies say.
I find that it's almost too incredible. You know, J. Edgar Hoover said.
I went in with a good buddy of mine back then into Utah. We got a call from the owner of the New York City Cab Company. They wanted 13,000 Crown Victorias retrofit, and they told me the two models they wanted. He said, go to the nearest store, go in, give them my name, have them give me a call. I'll pay with credit card right now on the phone.
I ain't taking that.
Okay. Well, we went in and said, I'll take those two right there. Salesman was happy. He ran in the back. A few minutes later, the owner of the company came out and said, are you the one trying to buy those two cars? Yep. If you get off the property before the police get here, you won't be arrested. But if you're still here when they get here, you're going to be arrested for trespassing. But I just came in to buy two cars. He said, we don't want to sell you two new cars. Get off our property. Well, in the background, I could hear the sirens. I heard, okay, it's time to get. Well, that ain't the first time. I've been told in parts stores, I'm sorry, we can't sell you parts. Go to a wrecking yard. I'm sorry, we cannot sell you injectors. Oh, I'm sorry, we can't sell you that. Our government has a way of threatening the hell out of people where they won't even question what they're doing. They just say, no, you can't buy anything from us. You can't buy VW exhaust pipes. You can't buy this. You can't buy carburetors. We're trying to put you to a stop. So now, everything we teach and geek is what to buy at a plumbing store, and unless they pull every pipe off the shelf and every threading tool, there's no way to stop it.
They're that afraid that they're interfering with a simple hardware store, auto parts stores with you.
Yep.
I'm not even sure how. I mean, it's if they're doing that before you use your credit card. How are they doing that, Paul? How are they tracking
Well,
you like that? What are they just following you to see where you go? You walk into the store and they get it on it, and it's all.
phone calls. You don't want to call ahead to see if they got a part. Because the time it takes you to drive down there, that part won't be available.
All right. It's just. I think it's starting to dawn on people now when they hear it in the mainstream that the NSA is tapping everybody's phones, and they're hunting for this guy in halfway around the world. He didn't give any secrets. He just told us what they were doing, and they're trying to hunt him down for treason because
Well,
he made
back
a
in
he.
1999, 2000, I was on a telephone call to a guy who called me numerous times, and he was a little obnoxious. He kept trying to get more and more free information, didn't want to spend any money, but was wasting a lot of my time. And I told him, I said, well, you've been calling me for almost 20 years wanting to buy the plants. This is the last weekend you can buy plants. I'm not going to sell them after Monday. So if you want to buy the plants, give me a call back. Go ahead and pay me by PayPal right on my website. Go to geekinternational.com and buy them. Otherwise, please don't call me anymore. I'm not going to give information out for free. About an hour and a half later, there's a knock at my door. I hadn't given anybody my address. Nobody knew where I was. It was in a brand new building that I just leased. This guy's standing there, a nice outfit. What's going to help you? He said, yeah, I want to get a set of plans before you quit selling them. I looked at my wife. What are you talking about? Well, I heard you on the phone. You did? He said, well, yeah, I work for the government. I listen to all your calls. I said, oh, so you heard me talking to that guy, and you want to buy a set of plans before I quit selling them. Okay, that'll be $250, please. And I sold him a set of plans. And I said, now, the only person that could have hurt me is somebody from the government listening in. He said, well, yeah, we listen in to anybody's phone call if you're a threat. I said, what kind of threat am I? He says, well, you know how to run on water. And if you start telling people how to do that, we have to report it immediately. And I'm not going to. I already told Bush's people I wouldn't do that. I have no intention of releasing that information unless something happens to me. Is something going to happen to me? He said, oh, no, no, no. We just have to monitor everything you do. So I have physical proof at that point that they do listen to my phone calls. That doesn't bother me. Let them listen.
This is I've told people that I write fiction. I do fiction, but You might find that my fiction is more believable than the nonfiction. What you're talking about now, I mean, we're talking about thought crimes. We're talking about people trying to read your mind, watch your mail, watch everything that you do. Why? Because you might be a danger. Why? Because you might tell somebody to stand up and be independent, grow a set of balls.
Yep.
Tyranny only
Well,
works
we
if you
went through
allow it
things.
to happen. I mean, that's why I chose the name Free American, because I wasn't going to work for nobody. I wasn't going to have anybody rule me. I've had that offered to me a lot. You know, if you work for us, Clay, if you do this, you won't have anything. You won't have any problems if you work for us. Sorry, don't work for nobody.
Oh, wow.
It's
I just got an email I'd like to share with you, but after reading it, I can't until we get off the air. But, let's call me back later on this one.
okay. Somebody
There's
listening
some
to
people
our
that know
show.
you that said they just heard me on your show this morning, and it's really an interesting one here. It really tells you how far the government will go. Uh, People who write emails don't realize the government listens to them or checks them out. I told people, I said, if you're going to be sending text, make them nice long ones. Give them something to read. These guys have nothing else to do. Waste their time and taxpayer dollars. Well, give them something to read. Make it good and juicy.
This well, people are listening, and they haven't been able to silence me. Revolution Radio is where it's at, folks. You're able to hear Paul Pantone. You're able to hear me on this. And I mean, this ain't no bull. They've tried to kill us. They've tried to stop us. Me for telling you what Paul's doing. Paul for doing what he's doing. For giving you a choice, a way to save money, a way to pull support away from these maniacs. And it's I've watched high school experiments where people were separating the hydrogen from the water.
Right.
I mean, it ain't that difficult, is it?
No.
Of course, when they blew up
Now, if
that
you look
blood,
at the Pierce Arrow, if you look at the Pierce Arrow that Nikola Tesla built, it was operated off of an antenna. If the antenna is pointed in the right direction, it draws energy from the atmosphere into itself and charges the battery, so you don't need a generator. But you don't see any kind of technology like that anywhere in the world being offered. He was 100 years ahead of himself.
yeah. Now let's go back here. You've got more knowledge on this, and we didn't cover it. I asked how was Lindbergh able to fly across the Atlantic Ocean in a Piper Cub? You got an answer for that? Was that a Stirling
Well,
engine? Was that a Stirling engine that they put in there, or what?
I really don't know much about that particular incident or the plane. I recall reading about it, but to me it was a combination of many different things. I mean, if you just pull the fresh air going into the engine through the exhaust pipe so that you can maintain an exact temperature at all times, you get maximum efficiency. So if somehow he had that knowledge back then yeah, you could easily get 7, 10, the best we've ever done using fuel as a fuel, gas, diesel, kerosene, is about 90 times the normal run time. But that's against the law to do. You can do that in a classroom setting if you're just teaching people basic physics. But you cannot do that on a piece of working equipment that might generate an income or produce electricity or drive you down the road. That would be against the law. But to do it in a classroom setting, not a problem. It's like batteries. The knowledge has been around for about 100 years, but never patented. on how to build a battery that would last 100 years. And why won't it ever come out? Because he makes too much money selling you 1 year, 3 year, 5-year batteries. He doesn't want you to have a battery that's going to last 100 years. That'd be insane. And you can't legally transport it in the United States. We're back to the 1950s.
You know, there's a song that I like by Mike Jones. It's called "Yesterday 1903," and about back when William and Artie built the first Harley. But he talks about how things were back then, before the Federal Reserve, before the international bankers came in. We had a different type of society. People help you build your houses. Your farmers work together with the people in the city. We could do that right now with the small town. The small towns are a gold mine, and even Obama put out an executive order saying that rural areas, rural communities, were a lot of that had tremendous potential. That's why the federal government had to get involved in it. I said I agree with everything he said except the federal government getting into it. It's we know that the self-sufficient family farm, according to Richard Kelly Hoskins, is the basis of every civilization. Now, why can't we get back to that? I mean, people are doing it right now in California, in Los Angeles. I've got a film up on the Free American and the Liberty Village site about people that are putting out 6,000 pounds of food in their backyard.
Yep.
You've got the technology to power it. We could be running off of generators cheaper than we can run off of the electric grid. I said the whole idea, Obama's idea of greening America, is selling the top of that mountain to a Chinese firm, so they can come in and put their wind generators up there on that mountain, and then run the cords down to the power company, so the power company can sell it to you. A little bit extra.
Yeah.
Since this is green energy now, we got to charge a little bit more for it. Now, I said my idea of greening America is putting a generator in your garage, magnetic generator in your garage, a geek generator in the living room, a solar panel on the roof, wind generator on the roof, and a garden in the backyard. Then you don't need the government or the energy companies or the oil companies for nothing. You can run your diesel truck, your diesel pickup, you can run that on biodiesel. Willie Nelson's doing that right here in Texas. So the answers are here. It's now. They've been here for 100 years, but because of the press here, because of the control of the press, they don't do it. And Lady Horse is asking if you've got links for these laws.
Yes. If somebody sends me an email, I'd be happy to shoot them a link.
Okay, what's your give me your email again.
Yes, my name is Paul Antone, Antone at yahoo.com.
All right, and I mean, because the technology's here, because everything that you've said here is provable. It's been proven time and time again. All it would take is some people that haven't showed their head yet to get shot at. If they backed us that have got the experience to build these communities all around the country, do it as co-ops, and yeah, they're still going to come after you just like they did the Amish farmer where they seized his herd because he was delivering raw milk to New York. Yeah, they're still going to do that to you until we get enough people to stop it.
I think America is starting to wake up a little more every day, but I hope they wake up a little quicker. Like I said, I get so many calls here that people say, well, they can't stop you from getting double your mileage. I say, oh, yeah, they can. They take away their permit that they gave you to drive and take away the license plate, and you're not driving anymore. If they can't nail you on something like that, hey, they'll nail you for tax evasion. They'll nail you for whatever they have to. But you shut your doors. This has just been the way they play their game. They've played it for years. They've gotten really good at it. And the people have just put up with it. I've had people say, why don't you go to Russia? Why don't you go to China? Why don't you go here or there? Every country is going to have its own drawback. But the best place to take a stand is in your own backyard.
Well, I've said that. I took an oath. I took an oath to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. If I do something here, it's going to be good for me, and it's going to be good for my children, and it's going to be good for my neighbors.
Yep.
And that's it. I mean, I don't want an advantage, not to bring up the Jews again, but I've had a lot of good friends. I've had friends that were Jewish, and I made a lot of money off of Jews, but I never made quite as much as I was supposed to. They always had to get that little extra 10%. I need 15% over on this side for doing this, and then 10% here and 15% here. It was just it was something that you kind of got used to dealing with. Yeah, we send a salesman to New York, and we'll have to pay for the limo. That'll be a little bit extra, but we'll get the sales. We'll get the sales. So that's just how they operate. But it's worse than that now. It's getting to a matter of survival. It's not just how you're going to make a profit. It's going to be if you're able to stay in business because these people, these predatory people, they're starting businesses. Even extends into the motorcycle business. My friend has a shop up on Main Street in Daytona Beach. Been there for years. But the Jews have moved in and discounting and selling it cheaper, so nobody can make a living anymore on Main Street at Daytona Beach during Bike Week.
We had a gentleman who owned a motorcycle company in Florida, and he got involved with Geet, and he was immediately deployed on a mission. And when he came back, his company had gone bankrupt. And they told him never play with Geet again because he was stupid enough to send an email to somebody who figured out how to run on water and he was going to do it. He was put out of business. Now, if you do figure out something like that, it's not something that you want to share. Your best bet there is to shut your mouth. Because life is too short. There's a lot of good things you can do. Just because you can't do one doesn't mean you can't do the rest. Teaching is great. I can get away with teaching a whole lot of things. But I always hold up the laws to back it up saying, you can't do this in America, you can't do this in Europe, you can't do this in Mexico. If I were you, I wouldn't do that in Uganda. There's certain countries you have to watch out for certain political ramifications because They just don't want it. But the one thing they all agree with, and I hate to say the word green, but if you're taking plastic and other things and turning it back into fuel, because all plastic is gas, diesel, and kerosene blended together and put into a solid state. When you heat it back up, it goes back into being gas, diesel, and kerosene. Whoa, what a novel idea. We don't have to have piles of it everywhere and filling landfills with it. We can use it and make fuel right in your community. Glass can be ground up, different processes, so that you can use it for filling concrete.
And we've already got the recyclables. That's separate now in most places. We can certainly be doing that. What's being done with it now?
Well,
All
most of
right,
it goes
we're
right
out
to
of
the
we're
dump.
out of time here. FreeAmerican.com. Take this show, pass it along. It'll be up. It'll be up on YouTube. It'll be up on Facebook. It'll be up on FreeAmerican.com, and it'll be up on Blog Talk Radio and Revolution Radio. FreedomsLips.com. Paul Pantone, thank you. Looking forward to
God
seeing
bless.
you again soon, and let's put this together. I want this to be a part of the whole program. Grow your own food,
Okay.
generate your own energy, know what GEAT is and how you can use it, how you can make it work for you. Thank you. God bless you. Hello.